right. So NFL schedule is out. Seahawks schedule has dropped. So we're gonna go through the 17 games here, give our predictions, and give our thoughts on how the Hawks are gonna do this year in their retooling year. So let's get right into it. First game, Denver Broncos at home, and I mean, as if there wasn't enough history with us already playing them in the Super Bowl and stuff. Now, Russ goes there. First game of the season, coming back to Seattle. What do you think?
Um, Here's what I'll say. I have you do yours. So go through your full breakdown of yours thing, and I'll do mine, and we'll compare, see how our schedules look like. Um,
Wait, go
but
through my full schedule and
yeah,
then
go
you
through your
go through
schedules,
yours.
go through your
Oh,
wins and
okay.
losses, and then I'll follow with mine. See if
Okay. I
ours
thought we were
lines
just
up.
gonna
See
go
what.
game by
No,
game.
we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see. I'll see if yours lines up with mine. See what games we have off.
I don't think it'll line up perfectly, but we'll probably have roughly around the same amount of wins losses. So all right, so Denver, I have that unfortunately as a loss. You know, Russ coming back to Seattle, probably going to be fired up about that. I just think he's going to play good. He's got all them good weapons over there in Denver. Jerry Judy. Recently, I think it was reported that he was in a domestic uh, dispute kind of thing or whatever. So I don't know if he'll face discipline for that if he'll miss the first game. But if not, then yeah, it's going to be a lot of trouble for us trying to cover all those receivers. So yeah, I have that one as a loss. Next game, San Fran at San Francisco. I also have that as a loss. We swept them the last 2 years. I don't think we're going to sweep them 3 years in a row. It's a road game. You know, uh, you don't know how Trey Lance is going to do, but at the same time, I mean, they still have good pieces. You don't know if Debo Samuel's gonna get that all figured out. There's a lot up in the air. There's a lot of what ifs. So we could win that game depending on certain things, but just me assuming they'll get stuff figured out with Debo, I have that as a loss. Next game, Atlanta, I have that as a win. They're kind of in a rebuild mode. They got Marcus Mariota down there. So we'll see how he does. But I still think that it's a home game for us. So I think that's a very winnable game for us. So next game, Detroit. I have this down as a win, even though obviously they had a lot of really good draft picks, especially Aiden Hutchinson. They got Panay Sewell now at left tackle, and Jared Goff's always given us problems over the years. But yeah, it's a game in Detroit, but I still think it's a winnable game for us. It's Detroit, so yeah, New Orleans. Initially, I had this as a win for us, but after seeing what they did in the draft, I actually have this as a loss. They did a lot of really good things. I believe they got Chris Olave, wide receiver from Ohio State. They got Trevor Penning, the tackle from is it Iowa State or no? Yeah. Anyway, Northern Iowa. That's where he's from, I think. But yeah, they did a lot of really good things in the draft. So I actually have that as a loss. Arizona, I have that as a loss. It's a home game, but Arizona, Kyler Murray. I think DeAndre Hopkins might miss that game, but I mean, they still just have so much talent and depth. You know what? I'm actually going to change this because they lost Chandler Jones, I believe. Did they not?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, they don't. Yeah, they don't have that beastly defensive line that wreaked havoc on us all the time. You know what? It's a home game. I'm going with a win on this one. Yeah, I think we'll lose later in the year in Arizona, but I think we'll actually beat Arizona at home. Next game, Chargers. I have that as a loss. I mean, their team's just stacked, loaded. Justin Herbert's a year older, year wiser. Yeah, they did some good things in the draft. So yeah, I got that as a loss for us, and it's an away game on top of that. So Next, I've got the New York Giants. I got that as a win. Yeah, I mean, they're a lot of uncertainties with that team. They did a lot of good things in the draft, got a lot of really good picks, but they did not get Daniel Jones, a really good wide receiver, get him much help in that area, I felt like. So, yeah, I feel like that's still a win for us. Yeah. Then, yeah, I have sorry, just making a couple corrections here. Then we have Arizona away game. I have that as a loss. I think DeAndre Hopkins will be back by then. Yeah. So they'll have DeAndre Hopkins back. I feel like that'll pose a lot of problems for us for our secondary, especially since they're going to be so young. And I mean, he's just every year he's just such a handful for whoever has to guard him. So yeah, I have that one as a loss. Next game, we go to Germany, play Tampa Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I have that as a loss. I mean, that team's stacked. You got the GOAT at quarterback, in his potential final season. I got that as a loss. Next game, Las Vegas, who just got Devontae Adams. It's a home game for us, but
and Chandler Jones.
Yeah, and they got Chandler. That is where he went. Oh man, yeah, I got that one as a loss. They got some good acquisitions in the offseason. They didn't really wow me too much with their draft picks, but their free agent pickups are really solid. And Derek Carr is still a pretty solid quarterback. He's teaming back up with his college teammate Devontae Adams. I feel like it's not going to take long for them to get their timing and chemistry down. Like you said, they got Chandler Jones on top of all the pieces they already had. Got a lot of, good pieces coming back. So, yeah, I got that as a loss. Rams at LA Rams. I have that as a loss. Even when we had Russ, we struggled very mightily with this team. Now that we don't have a franchise quarterback there and they are the defending, returning Super Bowl champions, I have that as a loss. Carolina at home. I have that as a win. They're having quarterback issues too. They're kind of in a rebuild mode. They got a couple good pieces here and there. They got I think they got your whatever his name is from Penn State, who I wanted us to get. He went to Atlanta, didn't he?
Yeah, he went to Atlanta.
He went to Atlanta. Yeah. No, but they still they did a couple good things in the draft, though. Carolina did. But I have this as a win for us still. I just feel like we have a better team overall, and our style of play will prevail, run the ball, slow the game down, less possessions. I feel like that's going to benefit us. We'll win that game. San Fran at home. I have this as a win. We always play San Fran really good at home. We always do well against San Fran every year. So, I know we don't have Russ, but, they got a lot of things they're figuring out with their team too. So, when we play them at home, I like our chances there. So I have that as a win. Then we go to Kansas City, at Kansas City. I have that as a loss. I know they lost Tyreek Hill, but, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and that whole team and they're at home, we're away. So, yeah, I just feel like that's going to be a bit much for us. Then Week 17, we got the Jets, and it's at home. So we're playing the Jets at home. I have that as a win for us. They did a lot of really, really good things in the draft. Got some pieces that I wish we would have went after and got a little more aggressive about. But yeah, I have that as a win for us. Because Zach Wilson, I'm still not entirely sold on him. He didn't have the greatest rookie showing. So, it depends on how he does in his second year. But yeah, based off what I saw from them last year, I think it's a very winnable game for us at home. Then week 18, we got the Rams at home, which I still have as a loss, still defending Super Bowl champs, still, got a lot of players on that team that are going to be a problem for us, as they always are. Cooper Kupp always shreds us. Aaron Donald always, has his way with us. So, yeah. Yeah, I got that as a loss. So let me count these up real quick. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wins. So I got us going 7-10.
Another 7-10 season.
I mean, to be honest, if we're not going to make the playoffs, I'd rather have us go worse than 7-10. Maybe get a really high draft pick. Go after someone like Bryce Young or something like that. But yeah, 7-10. That's just. I hope we do better, and there's always the potential to do better. We don't know what our quarterback situation is going to be when the season starts. Maybe something will happen. We get Baker Mayfield or something. That would change all these picks for me. But, yeah, as of right now, as the roster is, as the other teams we play's rosters are, you can't account for everything, injuries and all that. But right now I have 7-10 as what I feel is a pretty realistic outcome for our season. And given our draft picks and everything, I feel like that's just what I think. I don't know. I'm curious to get your thoughts on this, though. What you think when you go through the games, and which ones we have picked the same, which ones we don't.
All right. Well, not too different. A little, some games, here and there. For me, not a big shocker. I feel like a lot of us think Monday Night Football start the season off. Russ comes to town. Russ knows, he's won a lot of games here for us. He knows, every scheme. And even if you could say, there's certain areas that our team is better than theirs, when it comes down to it, is whose hand do you want the ball in more? Who do you trust more to make those big plays? Drew Lock or Russ? Yeah. And Russ is better than Drew Lock. And, the Denver also knows Drew Lock's. So, I have that as a loss. For me, week 2, San Fran away game, I actually have us winning that game. I know that there's a lot of, San Fran, people in San Fran organization that aren't too sold on him. Debo right now is not going to play for them. So you got a second year quarterback who, is really proven, and you got no real wide receiver one. We always play them close. They're going to want to run the ball on us. We're going to want to run the ball on them. I feel like we can get a possession and sneak out with our first win against, San Fran. Mm-hmm. Week 3, Atlanta. I also have that as a win. They drafted Drake London. Had they have not drafted a wide receiver and went and addressed the offensive line, you're looking at probably the worst starting wide receiver core in the league. No Calvin Ridley.
Without Calvin.
Yeah, Calvin Ridley's gone. Why can't I remember the wide receiver that was there last year?
Gabe.
I know you're talking about. But he's gone. You got Kyle Pitts.
His name either.
You got Kyle Pitts, and that's pretty much it. You got Kyle Pitts, Cordell Patterson, and a defense that's still struggling. So I feel like that's a winnable game for us. Same with Detroit. Mm-hmm. Detroit is working on its, I feel like, 5th year rebuild. As bad as it seems,
it's more than 5th, man. That's more than 5th.
Detroit, they got some good defensive pieces, and even when we played them, and made it thing. But I feel like that's a winnable game. If we look at games, when we look at the teams, the roster, who's on it, and everything, when you look at Detroit, you look at our roster, you could see, yeah, our offensive pieces can definitely give their defensive pieces some trouble. It just comes down to, is Drew or Gino going to be able to make those plays? And Jared
Or
Goff is
Gino even
not.
going to be a starter?
Yeah, Jared is not the Jared that used to be in LA. So I have that a winnable game for us. So 3-1 isn't probably not the start anyone would think for us is a good start, but go down to New Orleans week 5. I have that as a loss. I do. I mean, you got Chris Olave, Mike Thomas should be back. You got Jarvis Landry, Alvin Kamara, and a quarterback in Jameis Winston that if he was playing, yeah. I mean, they got a new left tackle. So I mean, their offensive pieces are dynamite. They got the Honey Badger and Marcus May, 2 good safeties that they brought on to help solidify that defense. Just an overall good team. It just depends on what are you going to get your 30 for 30 Jameis, or are you going to get the Jameis that started before he got hurt last year? If they get what they got last year, I feel like that's a good team, and it would be hard for us to match it. I mean, when we played the Saints, you see DK just kind of absolutely go beast on Marshawn Lattimore, but DK can't do everything. And it just depends on who's going to get him the ball and how they're going to get him.
Also, he doesn't have rust on football this year either.
Yeah, and I mean, he had that 1 touchdown, but then that was
it. He didn't have on football last year either.
Yeah, Gino got him. But,
still.
He got the best of Lattimore. They were going back and forth and everything. But when it comes down to it, the Saints are just an overall better team, right now. Week 6, Arizona at Seattle. I have us winning that game. D-Hop won't be there. And, they're in Seattle. And, I mean, for me, it's a home game. It's hard to win in Seattle. Seattle's very noisy and everything. We have this weird thing with Arizona. I feel like every year we're splitting a game with them, and we might win the game. We lose the game that we're supposed to win the game that we're supposed to lose. If you just give me the 2, I'd see that we'd split at home. D-Hop not being there really helps, because other than that, they got rid of our what is the guy that went to Jacksonville? Christian Kirk.
Oh, Christian Kirk. Yeah.
You guys, Christian Kirk isn't there. So, I was never a big fan of Hollywood Brown. I mean, him and Kyler got chemistry going back to OU. But if you're telling me really all we got to stop is Hollywood Brown and aging AJ Green and Ertz, I like our chances. It's a good 50-50 game, but I'll give us that. Week 7, Chargers, that's a loss. I mean, their defense is stacked. Their offense is solid. I mean, that's a very good overall team. It's a bad time for us to play the AFC West this year. That is just, that's almost self-explanatory at a loss for right there. You don't really have to get into details there. That's an easy game to put up an L for us. The Giants, Danny Dimes, has he really been Danny Dimes? I have that a win for us. This is kind of the make it break it for year for them. They got some help on the O-line, but are the receivers going to be able to show up? Or are they going to be able to stay healthy? They're already shopping Kadarius Toney after him only being on the team 1 year. James Bradbury's gone. So I feel like that's a winnable game for us. Play Arizona again, week 9. I have that a loss. I have a splitting that game. We're at Arizona. D-Hop will be back. He can wreak havoc on the DBs, and we'll split that game. Now week 10, Germany game, exciting game that we get to play in Germany and everything. Just not very exciting that we get to play Tom Brady without Russ. Excuse me. My gosh. So you got Russ and a dangerous Tampa Bay team. I'll take Tampa Bay in that one. We get a much needed bye week 11. For what I have, us also losing to the Raiders. Them getting Devontae Adams, Chandler Jones just helps that team go further. Seattle had no Seattle had no, they could not stop Devontae Adams when he played for Green Bay. Do I feel like there's a drop off between Derek Carr and Aaron Rodgers? Yeah, but Devontae is still Devontae, and he's going to be able to get open. As long as you can hit an open receiver, you'll be able to get the ball to Devontae. They also got Hunter Renfrow on the other side in the slot that he'll be running out of.
Waller.
Yeah, you got Waller. So, I feel like that's a very tough team. And, Chandler Jones has had Seattle's offensive line's number for years now. I feel like, he showed that last year, even when he had times where he dropped off and everything. I still feel like he can wreak havoc. I have that for a loss. Week 13, we play Super Bowl champs, the LA Rams at LA. I have that as a loss. I mean, they kept pretty much their core intact. I mean, they lost some guys. They were able to get some guys back. Allen Robinson's back, or Allen Robinson's there now. I just feel overall, unless Aaron Donald retires, you still got the best corner in football and Jalen Ramsey. That defense is great, and it's still going to be great this year, and I have that as a loss for us. Week 14, Carolina, I have that as a winnable game. Sam Darnold is, Sam Darnold, or they'd start Matt Corral, a rookie.
Yeah, they might have lost his job by that week.
Yeah, and so I have that as a winnable game for us. McCaffrey's been in and out the last couple years with injuries, so the running game's taking a hit. I feel like that's a winnable game. I'll choose us over that. Also having us sweeping again, San Fran at home. I just feel like when the last few years we've been able to play them very close. And if it comes down to a one possession game, I just choose us over San Fran. But don't get me wrong, we could definitely lose week 2 at San Fran. I can see them sweeping.
Yeah,
still. I can see them sweeping San Fran still. I can see them winning week 2 and losing week 15. By week 15, Trey Lance can have it figured out, and he plays good then. But for me, I have them beating San Fran twice again this year. Then week 16, go to Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes on a Saturday, real rough. Tyreek's not there, but it's still Patrick Mahomes, and it's still a really good team. And I don't feel like we are going to be able to match that. And then I have us winning week 17 against the Jets, mainly because Zach Wilson. What are you going to get from him? They got some good pieces around him. They've been helping that offensive line. Robert Saleh has been able to, get that defense, playing better. I like their draft this year. One of the best drafts this year. Their free agent acquisitions have been solid. But I'm like, what are you going to get from Zach Wilson? And I was never high on Zach Wilson coming out of BYU. And I don't feel like he's going to really have another bounce back year. So I have us winning that game. Going to week 18 against the Rams. I have us losing that game, but also I could see us winning that game if they are in the playoffs and they're resting their starters. We could probably win off of playing backups. But I have us losing that game. Sean McVay has kind of just had Pete Carroll's number. He's kind of just outcoached him constantly. And with the quarterback situation, Matt Stafford versus whatever quarterback we have, and that good team, you would just take that. Yeah, I would just take the Rams over that. So I have us going 8-9, but also can go 7-10. So 7-10, 8-9 area.
Yeah,
I'll say that. I feel like that's our ceiling.
Well, a lot of the games we picked pretty similarly had similar thoughts, but the ones that we didn't pick were games that kind of you acknowledge could go either way. Like it's hard to predict a lot of this stuff because there's outside factors that go into it. Like you said, even with just the Rams one at the end of the year, we don't know if the starters are going to play or if they're going to sit. We don't even know who our quarterback's going to be week 1, or week 8, week 10, we don't know. You don't know who's going to be injured, who's going to be healthy. But yeah, roughly, all things considered, 7-10, 8-9 seems to kind of be the general consensus.
It's kind of rough to do if you really think about it, to do a scheduled prediction off now, because in preseason and everything, you never know what's going on. Some of these quarterbacks can go down. Some of these wide receivers can go down. It can draft on where we play. It could go like right now we're looking at Locke and Geno. They're going to be a thing where maybe we'll get Baker or some other quarterback that they want to trade for, and they end up winning that starting job. This is just, right as of right now, what we can determine on who's on the rosters and, who's on the rosters for us.
Yeah, it's based on
these players.
Yeah.
And that's what, I'm basing it off of.
Well, you and me both said, week 17, we're not sold on Zach Wilson, either of us, especially with the year he had last year. Obviously, you had a good draft. You added more pieces to his line and to his receiving core. So, he could very well have a breakout year. I don't think that's what's going to happen, but he could, and it's later in the year too. So he could have it figured out by that point in the year too, if, he starts getting it going late in the year. But yeah, 7, 10, 8, and 9, is not playoff teams win-loss record. So essentially, we both have them losing the playoffs or not making the playoffs. And yeah, hopefully getting some good picks in the draft. We still have Denver's first and second round pick next year as well. So, but I don't know how they're going to do, now that they got Russ there running the show. So we'll see, man. But either way, man, I'm excited for this season. I'm excited to see how our draft picks do. I'm excited to see, how the team does and who ends up being our quarterback week 1 and week 18. There's a lot of questions to be answered.
It's definitely one of those seasons, as in previous seasons, watching preseason, and especially with the many of letdowns of of the draft picks that we've had, and just kind of knowing who our starters were and everything. It was one of those preseasons that, aren't very exciting when you look at the schedule and everything, and you're like, oh, no, it's preseason, I don't want to watch it. But these are one of those preseasons where you're like, I might actually want to watch this because there's going to be a lot of battles. We drafted Abe Lucas, in the 3rd round. But, Jay Kern was a starter last year. So is he going to be able to push him out, or is he going to step up? There's
also,
a lot
every year we've known who our quarterback's going to be, but this year we don't.
Geno and Locke. So are they going to trade for somebody? This is one of those preseasons where as a team that you're trying to make a lot of changes and turn around and be able to get back to the playoffs in a couple years. It's a thing. If you want to see competition, you want to see how these young players are. It's a good season to watch preseason this year, to see how, this will pan out.
Well, either way, regardless of, the record and everything, I think it's safe to say that you and me both hope that they win every game. Every game we're rooting for them to win. This is just us kind of being realistic about what we think is going to happen. So that being said, I'm excited. I know you're excited. But yeah, so that's that's the schedule for the upcoming season for the Seahawks. Yeah, we got through it. And yeah, let us kind of know everybody's thoughts. If you like this, like and subscribe. Yeah, go Hawks.